Hey gang, working on a Powers commission. This is just a headshot of Walker and Retro Girl. I think I'm gonna go with one of my favorite sort of compositions, which is like a head within a head. So these are two headshots that I'm gonna do. So let's do a classic Walker. Profile. So typically, start old-fashioned little circle just to indicate the center of the cranium, and then you're going to add the rest of the face on there, a little bit of forehead, a nose, a little teeny tiny Walker nose. Make sure the eyes and ears kind of line up. And I like a big exterior line that super simple, just gives all the shape. And the body creates a frame. And I have Retro Girl here. And I have her kind of coming out through his body a bit. He'll be more stagnant, but since she is, a superhero, give her a little bit more action. It's supposed to be just a headshot, but I didn't really plan it out great, so you get a little bit of arm in here. Down here will be some city. Maybe I'll fake some perspective. It's gonna be really crazy hot for the next 2 days, at least for us, in the Northwest. It rarely gets past the upper 80s or whatever. It's supposed to be close to 100 today and tomorrow. And because traditionally the Northwest just hasn't had a lot of extreme heat or extreme cold, really. Houses and infrastructure around here, unless they're new, aren't really built to handle the heat and stuff. Our house only has air conditioning in like 2 rooms, so we're going to be living in 2 rooms for the next couple days. Can't complain too much though. The summer's not been that bad. I've had some summers where, just like non-ending heat waves, and that was not enjoyable. Kind of thrown by the shoulder here. I'm going to draw the rest of her in just lightly so I can kind of get a sense that I'm placing the shoulder right. Let's give her a bit of a smile. She's positive, while Walker's like, well, I wouldn't say Walker's negative, but he's been through a lot of shit, so he's pretty somber. So that's usually my first pass. If this was more detailed of a page, I might darken it up more, do a light erasing, and get more of the details penciled in and stuff, but that's fine for now. This is kind of my favorite step when I'm drawing, is to just do this, pardon me, I just define all the shapes with a uniball pen. I don't know what it is about the uniball pen and a monochrome line, but I absolutely love it. I want to start playing around with a thicker monochrome line. I typically just use a single line weight like this with like a really thin pen. But you know, one of my heroes, Alex Toth, used a lot of that solid line, but he did it with a thick line as opposed to something thin like this. And then some of my contemporaries who I really admire, dudes like Chris Samney and a handful of others, know how to use that thick monochrome line in a way that looks great. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that. So there's Walker. His forehead's a little thick for what I like, but I mean, what's great is from here I can lightbox it and just go right into inks. Like, I don't need any more details than this. I can see the rest in my head, or I've had enough experience to know where, on a very simple drawing like this, just where to lay everything down without having to do much more detail. But, you know, this is a simple pinup of characters I'm very familiar with. And also, because this is the underdrawing, like, it's fine to do something like that. It doesn't ruin anything. This is an underdrawing little sketch. So sometimes something gets scribbly, that's fine. Doesn't ruin anything. I remember reading, it might have been in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, I'm not sure, but it was something where John Buscema was talking about the importance of scribbling when you're sketching, to kind of like help yourself find shapes and flow and direction on a page or on a character, you know? And I definitely found that's super useful, very true. Got her braids in here, which I didn't really draw that great, but okay. Collarbones. Yeah, think about this. I don't know why this is throwing me so much, but it feels weird. Sometimes it's hard to decide whether the shoulder is going to be on top of the chest muscles or kind of behind it, you know? Actually, I think here it would be more behind it for arms going back like that. So this will be black, that'll be black, white here, so just some vague city shapes. I'm sorry, I keep noticing I'm drawing just outside of the thing a lot, but I didn't line up my camera quite right. So I set up these fake, you know, fake is the wrong word, but freehand perspective lines here. So what I'm going to do is just lightly follow over them. And I've created a really simple perspective for myself here for this little pinup. I don't need the details, I just need the shapes. Again, it's just enough to give a sense of perspective for these buildings. And this will just be kind of cartoony, you know, straight on, just squares and rectangles. And there we go. As far as I'm concerned, that's all done. So next step will be my light box. I've got one of these. I love these newer light boxes. Newer as in the past, I don't know, 8 years or more. They're really thin. I used to have these giant monstrosities of light boxes. One which was given to me by my pal Adam Hughes, that he built himself back in like 1990 or 89 or some crazy shit, and I had it for like close to 20 years. And that was just like a set of 2x4s and like a drawer bottom and some light bulbs inside. It was crazy. It was really cool. But now they're like super thin and super light, and you can easily change the dimness and all that stuff. I use this tape here just because it's handy, and it's a lot of tape. Of course, my favorite tape is just like that really light Scotch tape that doesn't have a lot of stick to it, you know. That way I don't have to worry about paper getting torn up. I also like to just quickly look at the piece reversed. Sometimes it looks better. I think in this case it's fine, just the way I have it set up. Let's tape that down. Let's tape down here. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit so it's not so close. There we go. Now I'm going to use my handy Kuretake brush pen. And I'm just going to get right into it. Need my handy dandy Hellboy coffee first. All right, let's get into it. I'm gonna just get really bold and just go right into the big line work first. It's tricky to not make his nose too pointy, you know. Like, I don't want it to be distracting. It's a crazy sharp edge. I think I gotta get new ink. This ink that I have is usually super, super black, but it's kind of old, so I think it's dying. That's one problem if you buy like a really big jar of ink, especially if you go back and forth between traditional and digital. So I do a lot of inking that's digital, so I don't go through my ink as fast as I used to. So yeah, I think it's I can see it kind of graying in the middle here. Probably a way to fix that is to just leave the bottle open for a couple days, and it'll darken up. Just doing a highlight here. It's interesting. So much of rendering has to do with describing the shape and form of the object that you're rendering, right? So typically, you want to go with the form or the shape of an outline that's describing the shape of the object, right? Like the top of his head. But sometimes doing shapes that instead of going with the shape of the object, you go the opposite way. Like these rendering here is going away from this outer line, which is this curve that goes like this. But here, for some reason, doing the opposite seems to give it more shape and form than if I was to render all kind of like rounded with the shape of the head. I don't know if any of that makes sense. I'll try to point out in other cases what I'm talking about. Get right into Retro Girl. Start with her hair. So you see these lines here, like this is going with the form of the hair. I don't want to do any of these like rendery lines that go against this line. I don't want to do anything like this. I want it all to kind of feel like it's going with this. That gives form and shape to the hair. And then for some reason over here, doing the opposite shape makes it work better. I'm not sure why that always works. Maybe it's because it's shadow and I'm doing reflective stuff. I'm not sure. I always find that interesting. You know what's messed up is this commission piece I actually did already, and I think I accidentally sent it in with a Kickstarter package to my fulfillment guy, thinking it was part of the Kickstarter, and I think it was just this commission that I had just finished right away when I got the assignment, and then it kind of sat there while we dealt with other stuff. And then when I finally got the Kickstarter artwork out, I think I accidentally mailed it out. I believe the technical term is a knucklehead. I am sort of your classic distracted artist or professor, absent-minded professor kind of thing. I'm working on it though. I'm trying to get more in the now, as they say, but it's hard, especially when you've been daydreaming all your life. Like I often have multiple thoughts and conversations going on in my head at the same time. Something I hate, but I got to work on it. I want to get more clarity in my thinking and my life. But it's tricky. It is tricky. Not only is it tricky, it's frankly embarrassing. But I've also learned it's just part of who I am. And while it's something I want to improve on, I'm also not going to torture myself over it. Plus, it provides a lot of good laughs, especially for Taki and Brian. Retro Girl, when I first designed her, has this kind of like, her cape was hanging from this sort of rope that went around her neck. It's kind of inspired by Captain Marvel stuff, you know. But when I first drew her, you know, she was dead. I didn't actually expect to draw Retro Girl a lot afterwards. So when I designed her with that rope around her neck, I didn't have to give too much thought about how it worked practically or anything. Not that I worry about that stuff too much anyway when it comes to superhero design, but you know, it's there in your head. And especially once the TV show happened and we actually had to deal with it in real life. Ever since I designed it, I had kind of struggled with it, you know. So nowadays I just have the cape coming off of her straps and stuff, you know. So yeah, I'm opening up my commissions for a bit. I'm finishing up this issue of, or this arc of Murder Inc. And, you know, Brian and I have more plans for stuff. But it's probably about 2 weeks or so. Well, I have other stuff to work on. I'll be free of some of that stuff. So I'm gonna spend some time doing commissions. There'll be a link below. Besides commissions, I'm going to be doing some more covers for Vault Comics. My pal Tim Daniels really created something special over there. So doing some covers for them. Of course, working on After Realm. And I've got a project I've been working on with Victor Santos for quite a while. That's been a difficult one. It's a conspiracy parody or satire. And it's been difficult because, well, a couple of reasons, and one of which is just that conspiracy culture has become so real now that all the stuff I sort of like to have fun with or make fun of or just find fascinating because it was so bizarre and outlandish is now have like real world consequences. So it sucked a lot of that out, a lot of that enjoyment out of it for me, and had to have to really rethink what I'm saying with it and all that. So it's been a struggle rating it, which I feel bad because Victor is so fast. And when I do figure out pages and send him stuff, he's done like a couple days later. I think I'm gonna do a drop shadow here. Drop shadow is basically when the shadow is almost the exact contour of the object in front of it. Alex Toth does this a lot. It's kind of like what you get when you get like a dark room and you have a flashlight, like a single point of light without any other refraction. You end up getting these kind of silhouettes right behind the main object. Oh, my cat's driving me crazy. I'm gonna have to kick him out. Hold on. Rowan! Stop. Sorry about that, guys. Maybe I'll edit that out, I'm not sure. But my cat likes finding paper and then just flicking at it, just picking it up like this, like just flipping at the corner for, well, until I stop him. And I have a lot of patience, but I don't know. When my beloved cat does that, it gets to me, man. Can't handle it. Yeah, looking forward to, anyway, figuring out these issues with my book with Victor, and concentrating on Afterrealm for a bit. Because I'm so far ahead on Afterrealm, it's weird I don't get to actually work on it as much as I'd like to, because I'm just so far ahead. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense to work on it. Like the next issue I have to draw is a November book, which isn't that far away. It's still pretty far for me with my speed, and especially on a book that I love doing that's relatively easy, like the Afterrealm. So I'm looking forward to starting the next issue, because I'll have plenty of time, but not too much time. So it'll just feel right. And then I'll actually get to be able to share that process with you guys too. I haven't shared a lot of the work process on Afterrealm just because it's already been done, most of it. All right, the only question here is if I want to draw these buildings. I guess I'll use a little marker. This is the Bimoji pen, Bimoji. Has a nice flexible tip. When I've lost some of the sharpness on the tip, I'll mark off these caps here so that I know that's a duller tip, and then I use it for this kind of stuff, straight lines, and I can crush the tip of it, like use a little bit of pressure without worrying about ruining the quality of the tip, because I'm not going to use it for details and stuff. There's just going to be a few windows in here. I love drawing cities. I do feel bad sometimes. I use a lot of Google SketchUp, and I get a lot more details and variations out of the buildings and stuff. But if I'm not careful, it does kind of suck the life out a little bit, in a way that I don't think shows up on the paper, but I feel it when I'm drawing it. And it's not like I dislike those pages or anything. I've talked about this several times before, about how digital's so much faster. It's so much easier on me mentally in a lot of ways. It's definitely easier on my eyes. But there's this trade-off of, I don't know if I want to call it soulfulness, or I don't know. Just a little trade-off at times. And like when I'm doing a city digitally, I can get all these details and variations in buildings and architecture that I'm not familiar with and stuff. The perspective's set up for me already, but it is tricky. It is tricky to get that same sort of feeling. Pause this. Okay, I'm back. Getting close to being done here anyway. and do a bit of ye old checkerboard pattern. So I'm just drawing these lines randomly in here. I don't know exactly how many windows there's going to be or not be. I'll just go with it, you know. And I could put different variations of the windows in here because they're just silhouettes, so you can kind of guess there's various levels of buildings and windows and panes. I mean, that's basically it. Let me see. Shut that off. Let's plus that on. And then the rest is going to be filling in black. I can't imagine you'd be interested in this, so I'm going to do this in time lapse.